Welcome to the Crepuscular Bronies discuss in the new outfit, and yeah, today we are going to talk about the new episode, the games Ponies play. Today with me, as usual, Byter. Welcome to the show.
Blarg.
Oh, no. What a creative new way to introduce yourself. Digibrony,
as always.
Welcome back.
Hello.
And for the first time with us, ToonKritic. So, hello ToonKritic.
What's up?
Wanna say
Glad to be here.
Wanna say a few words what the people can expect on your channel to find Brony in regards to Brony?
Well, on my channel you'll find animated reviews of stuff. You'll find fanfic readings. You will find a few covers here and there. You'll find interviews. I am just a dude that likes to do a lot of stuff, and it looks cluttered, but I promise you it's not. It's a lot of great stuff you're going to enjoy. I'm an entertainer. I love to entertain, so that's what you can expect.
Okay. So, then let's start with our actual topic. Yesterday's new episode. I don't know.
Not it.
Critic, want to go first because Byter and Digi already released their reviews, and I kind of have an idea what my thoughts on the episode are as well. So, want to go first or not?
We're putting you on the spot.
Okay, I thought it was just polite letting the guest start. Otherwise, I can give my opinion first, and then you can follow up. And in the end, Byter and Digi will join the conversation if you want or not.
Yeah.
Blarg.
I'm sure Byter has things to say.
Right?
Yes. So anyways, then I'll just make the start.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, about this episode. The plot was not really this convincing and engaging. The characters all had not too much to do, and what else? Anyways, I liked it.
Well, that was short.
Anyways, I liked it. Like,
Yes.
plot was pretty much bullshit, but whatever, man.
It was all good, you know. I wasn't even really paying that much attention till the episode's over. I liked it. It was good. I liked it.
He enjoyed the journey somehow.
Kind of, yeah. I know that it wasn't really great plot-wise. The two new characters were not really this awesome. I mean, all you could say about the actual instructor was what's with a long face, and the other one was like, I don't know, weird. And this coming from me. And yeah, but kind of, I don't know. It was so lighthearted, I just could enjoy it. There was not an annoying spike or something that threw me off, and a few of the jokes actually made me laugh out loud. And well, it's not a good episode, but I thought it was enjoyable.
Yeah, see, I mean, I laughed through most of the episode. I watched it with my little brother. We were both, I don't know, I didn't really gauge his enjoyment, but I was laughing the whole time. But the thing is, I almost don't give MLP credit for that, or like give the writers credit for that anymore, just because it was so like predisposed to making me laugh. It's like, I care about these characters so much. Just seeing them do anything is gonna be enjoyable for me on some level, you know. Even if the episode just crashes and burns horribly, as long as I'm getting to see my, 6 favorite ponies, then it's like, hey, there's something good in this episode, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like there was something good, but it's almost inherent.
Well, that's what we could say for a lot of the episodes prior that haven't been that good, but people still enjoyed them. My reaction, I'd say it's the same as the others, and I've already talked about that in the sense, like last episode, there wasn't an engaging plot. It didn't get me involved. The characters, yes, I've seen them before, but the humour doesn't actually make me laugh. It's not. I wasn't actually laughing much through that episode, probably because I wasn't enjoying myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Critic?
Well, for me, you can just call me Zach, whatever works. For me, when I first heard about this episode, I was kind of skeptical on it, and then when we actually got to the episode, I liked that this episode they decided to play with like, oh yeah, this is going on at the same time like the other episode is. I thought that was clever how they handled that, but the story itself, I'm sorry, I spent like pretty much all of it just sitting like this. I'm like, okay, so how long is it going to take for them to figure out? We got 15 more minutes? Alright, let's see. I give them about 10. And then when they finally figured it out, I'm like, no! Really? I'm like,
Yeah.
This is very
They
typical
set it
stuff.
up that way where you're gonna be, you know right from the beginning they've got the wrong pony, so the tension is completely just not there for you. Where it's
There's
like,
no tension
in that
reveal.
You figured it out. They don't figure it out. So the whole time you're watching them, you're just going, okay, at some point you're gonna figure it out. You know, like there's nothing else to it. The whole episode is just you going, well, you're gonna figure it out eventually, right?
Yeah, and then
they actually didn't even try. They actually didn't even try. You got this wrong, Inspector, for, I don't know, 2 minutes before they reveal that it is the wrong one, so there isn't even for the viewers who didn't figure it out in the first place, no real suspense. It's really just a question, when are you going to figure it out?
Exactly.
Well, this sort of belies the writing of the episode, in the sense, an episode like this, it can, I don't like it when people say something's predictable, therefore it's not a good episode. Sometimes there can be times where you're just interested in the characters or the arc they're going through.
It's pretty rare for MLP to be unpredictable. So, when we complain about predictability, if you're complaining about that in MLP, it's like the show is almost always somewhat predictable. You know it's going to have a happy ending. You know they're going to beat the bad guy. You know this and that,
Yeah, but you don't know how the journey is always going to pan out in
Whereas
MLP.
in this case, we knew exactly how it was going to pan out.
Right, but when you look at episodes though, like A Candlelight Wedding and maybe even like Return of Harmony, okay, admit it, some of those had like predictable plots, but you know what? They at least managed to keep tension and like it kept your attention throughout it.
You weren't totally always sure when they were going to do the twist or pull on you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
And it could happen in a dramatic and meaningful way, like in A Candlelight Wedding, when at the end of the first half, Twilight just gets railed by like all of her friends and the princess, and we know Twilight is right, so it hurts even more just to see her getting just completely taken down by all of her friends and her mentor. That's heavy shit. That's drama. That's doing it right. Even though we obviously know how it's gonna play out, they're gonna find out Cadence is evil. We knew already Cadence was evil, but the way it played out, and in this case, we knew the game inspector was the wrong one. But nothing dramatic happened with that. There was no like, oh shit, we really fucked it up, because by the time they even realize that they have a problem, the games inspector is already talking to the other girl, and then she's like, I forgive everything,
Yeah, they threw that in like everything is forgiven just because.
And it didn't really fit in the moment, because 1 minute earlier the game inspector was like, oh, there you are, Princess Cadence! I had no welcoming at all! But I've heard that the welcoming you planned was nice!
Quite like that.
What? Talking about bipolar! What's wrong with her? What?
Yes, this was perhaps the worst visit I've ever been in, but this person had the greatest, so therefore this place is forgiven.
Yes, what?
They didn't...
I would put a face here, but I can't.
Oh god, I just figured out why I like this episode. It's a typical case of so bad it's good. I
got a couple
no other
comments
explanation
like that on my video where people said that they enjoyed it just out of head shaking enjoyment, but I don't know. I don't really buy into the so bad it's good thing personally. I don't like I have a lot of friends who sit around and watch bad movies and enjoy it. For me, I'm just like, if it's bad, it's really hard for me to.
I'm not sure. When it's so bad it's good. It's when the person's trying to do something and they go completely off tangent, and it's just sort of fun seeing how completely insane their abilities at trying to tell storytelling is. In this one, though, I'm not sure. I think the thing was that it was all built around that main story, in the sense that there's no meaning, there's no character arcs here. There's no character focus.
There is one, and it does need to be mentioned. The whole Twilight calming arc that went through it.
Well,
Which I love,
she got
by the
taught
way.
it, and then she just used it. That's not
Yeah,
an arc.
there is a little bit of an arc to it because of the fact that when she first gets and I guess it's not an arc, but the way that it happens and the way that it happens wordlessly, I really enjoyed because
It was
the
a
fact
nice
that like
touch.
it starts off with Cadence, the way she teaches it to Twilight. She doesn't explain to Twilight, this is a way to calm yourself down. She just does it, and Twilight does it, and Twilight kind of gets it just by doing it, And then later on, she's like a minute later, she sees Cadence get told about the bad news that the horseman is coming, and then Cadence does it, and Twilight has this face like, oh, I get it, So then every time Twilight gets into a situation where in an ordinary episode she'd start yelling, instead she goes and just calms down and goes through with it, And I was like, wow, that's a completely new way of using Twilight, and it didn't just make it seem like, oh, Twilight's out of character because she's not freaking out. It was like Twilight has a reason because she's trying this new thing, and that was actually an interesting use of her character.
How much is freaking out without, just instantaneously Twilight's character?
It is to an extent. She has a tendency to start yelling at people when they do something wrong.
Such as?
Like, you did what? She has that kind of reaction. I'm picturing that zoom in on her face kind of thing where the background changes and you zoom in and her eyes get all beady and shit. And
well, that wasn't when she went beady-eyed. That was in Crystal Empire when she was just like uber hyper over the top. I'm not sure in previous seasons. Like generally, she's a very focused character, and her, she always has.
She does get mad though. I'm thinking of stuff like.
Yeah, she does get mad.
Like, because when her friends do something stupid, she's not happy about it. And, sometimes it'll be really bad, like in The Return of Harmony. Of course, you expect that she's going to get that mad because her friends are being complete assholes, but this just in this episode, even though they
she
screwed it up
sometimes
and
yells,
yeah, and she just said, I was like, oh, that's nice.
I think
But
another
that, of
thing I
course,
wanted
is
to quickly
part-
say. I mean, with Twilight being like, all focused now, I think they are sort of like continuing on from like what happened in Lesson Zero. You shouldn't get that obsessed and panicked. And I found this actually to be kind of funny, the way that like she just calmed down. Like you thought she was gonna like snap or something. I mean, she sort of did, but she calmed herself down pretty quickly. So I think, in a way, I guess this is sort of like a very, very, very subtle nod to like Lesson Zero and how far she's come, I guess.
But
It's an attempt to that character progression. It's just sort of that the way it posed Cadence's lesson. I didn't really like that. Though I didn't really like that scene because it all felt quite wooden.
Mhm.
But they sort of all walk in and.
I have to say,
Oh, you mean the whole spa scene felt wooden?
Yeah.
I do agree. It felt weird to me.
But-
The way that scene was paced felt really odd. I like the music in that scene though. It was like this really calming actual spa music for like the whole 2-minute scene. It was playing just like kind of like airy music. But other than that, it felt awkward to me as well.
but what I want to say about this whole Twilight finding her inner, I don't know, way to calm down, if this really becomes a thing. Actually, if Twilight has no more freakouts in the future, this would be for me worse than, let's say, getting her wings or something random like this.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great if it carried over, and she never broke the like. There's a part where she like starts hyperventilating the technique, but she still keeps with it. She doesn't like go fuck this, time to panic. She actually does manage to keep herself calm the whole time, and then we see her doing it on the train on the way home, which was the best tie-in to the other episode. Because when I watched Just for Sidekicks and they were coming home, and she's like, "I'm sure Spike's doing fine," I was like, why would she think that? She just was like panicking as she left the house, and then now because she's just calming down, and
especially
like,
when
sure
we see the
you
beginning
Maybe, yeah.
of what was it, of Ponies play, when we see Twilight's side and the house just explodes and Twilight is like running in again.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't be for Rainbow.
Yeah, what started this though is just saying, I mean, that's a character change that they wanted to demonstrate in this episode. And there was something with Rainbow Dash where she has a backstory. and that's about it. But there's no arcs. There's no, we keep jumping from group to group to group. There's no group we're focusing on, or I don't know. I couldn't. The main story was so predictable. I'm not really that interested in whether they will get the equestrian games. It's obvious they will.
It has like little to no significance. I mean, we just sort of like think, oh yeah, there's the equestrian games. We've had we know nothing about it. There has been no mention of it.
Hopefully that's going to come back, because it seems like they've obviously set something up here where the equestrian games can happen in season 4, and that would be great if that happened.
No, it wouldn't.
Because why not?
Because it would happen in the Crystal Empire.
This is true. It does seem like the Crystal Empire is some kind of a nega zone for quality.
There is one thing that I was a bit annoyed about, or at least I liked the symbolism of it, was that, I've always argued about the Crystal Empire and its empathy field, and how you feel like the Crystal Ponies. That what if they feel happy, everyone feels happy. Now, it's not, we don't actually see them that much, but it's sort of implied that they want the games there, though I'm guessing that's mostly through Rainbow Dash, to be fair. But if the Crystal Ponies want it to be there, and you send in a judge to the Crystal Empire, well, you're sort of throwing objectivity out the window, aren't you?
That is an interesting point.
Like,
That's
I just like
canon right there.
Yeah, I liked that she goes.
Yeah.
It will be held here, and then boom goes up the from the Crystal Heart, and there's an explosion of yay, we got it.
Yeah.
Everybody play the Star Wars Episode 6 ending music.
Yes. So it was just, I kind of like the symbolism there, where the judge actually had no free will, and why they suddenly changed around was just because they suddenly felt the Crystal Empire's empathy field.
But she changed her mind before the Crystal Empire empathy field was activated. But
I mean, they're still grumpy, but as soon as they enter the Crystal Empire, they may just be like, I want to have the games here. Splash. Oh, I don't like it.
Oh my god, that would explain the chicken lady. Because when she gets off the train, she's like kind of being a complete bitch at first, and then all of a sudden she just is like, "Oh, you guys are gonna show me around the Crystal Empire?" And people are like, "What the hell? Why did she change?" And it's like, "Oh, this is why. It's the empathy field." Once she was in the Crystal Empire for a minute, then it was like, "Boosh up." Now I feel like a Crystal Pony.
I was talking.
Or it was because she was in a Polsky episode. Has more or less the same effect on ponies.
Yeah. I was talking about this with ANY, like, if you actually held the events there, wouldn't that be incredibly unfair? Yeah. Imagine, you're an outside racer racing against a Crystal Pony. You've got a crowd of Crystal Ponies surrounding you, all who are cheering for the Crystal guy, and you feel that emotion because...
Oh yeah, the empathy field.
Yeah.
So, you're winning, and they're all going,
oh,
and then suddenly you're depressed and you want the guy behind you to win, so you slow down, and then you lose, and you're like, yay, I lost because of the empathy field.
That's an amazing headcanon right there.
Yeah, it is, actually. Speaking of that, actually, looking at this episode, I realized that there are a few things that I've liked about this episode, but one of the things that actually caught my eye the most, I think, there was some sort of, very tiny character arc that I noticed, and that was mostly with Rainbow Dash, and how, I think she got some development in this episode, because as we see, okay, so I didn't get it when I was younger, so I'm going to make it my mission that these guys get it. It doesn't seem like... It seems like something Rainbow Dash would do, but at the same time, you're not expecting it, because she's willing to go out of her way to make sure something happens for someone else, even though it didn't happen for her.
Is that actually not expecting it a factor of good writing or Dave Polsky?
I don't know. I would have expected
but,
it. I didn't think it was abnormal.
I think it was good writing.
I felt that, it's not a arc. It's sort of just something we're told about at the beginning, and Rainbow Dash acts quite normal. Well, I mean, she's a bit more prominent. But she acts kind of like the rest through the episode until the end, where she has her emotional fit. It's not the central focus of the story, and it didn't really sell that arc, if it's an arc at all. It's something that's there, but it didn't engage me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thought it was a fine plot point. It's nice to. I like that it's in there because it meant that Rainbow Dash could give the ending explanation. Because it's nice when the other pony, when it's not Twilight doing it every fucking time, you know, when somebody else gets to provide the resolution or somebody else has the real emotional connection to the situation. So Rainbow Dash was, even though she wasn't more prominent throughout the episode necessarily, because they're all just kind of
she's just as
together.
motivated.
They all have the same goal, you know, but she's the one who's feeling it the most personally.
Right.
So, which is more, it's just fundamentally more interesting than it being Twilight, because Twilight's always the one who is the most invested, you know, so it's just nice to have someone else being the most invested. But I don't think it necessarily was written in such a way where it's like an interesting Rainbow Dash episode, so much as just Rainbow Dash getting to be more prominent and that being more fun.
Well, Rainbow Dash had a motivation, and she was more prominent than Twilight, which is a change, but the story didn't engage me, and her part didn't engage me. I mean, everyone was just as motivated as her. It's just her and, you know, Rarity had a bit more to do.
Are me and Byter completely agreeing right now? Is this happening?
I think so.
Yeah.
Are we totally on the same page in this podcast? People are going to lose their shit over this.
The other thing as well, also, one last thing I wanted to quickly say before I say, like, when we get to our final thoughts. The one thing people are going to take away from this, what are they going to name Rainbow Dash's parents? Everybody's gonna go crazy over that because I've already seen stuff. I've seen Color Cannon. I've seen Rainbow Fritz. I've seen all this other stuff.
I just saw a great post on Tumblr where somebody was looking at the cutie mark, and if you because his wings covering up half of it, right? And all you see is what looks like two little blue just things coming out, and then there's like a rainbow shooting out of the ass, and somebody drew it to where it looks exactly like just Rainbow Dash with a rainbow coming out of her. Like, it just looks like her legs if you draw the rest of the Rainbow Dash in. So people are like, what if his cutie mark is just Rainbow Dash flying?
Oh wow, so he gave birth to his own cutie mark then. All right.
Yeah.
That's his role in the
show
show thus far.
No,
I should link it in the chat.
About the father, two thoughts. First, I kind of, I know they have to make him, give him a rainbow-colored mane as well, so you recognize him as a father. But I think if it is really this, if you can really get it from your parents genetically, it's like I always thought like there should be more on the one hand, and I also thought like, well, now Rainbow's hairstyle is not so special anymore, kind of bad. And
because it runs in the family.
But then there's a question: why are there not more? If it is actually a family trait, there should be more. Super colored ponies, I guess.
They wanted a quick visual way to probably represent him as family. Yeah. We don't actually know with certainty he's family, but come on, if they're going to give him a rainbow mane, and we've only seen one with rainbow, it's probably because it's the father.
She's clanging on his back. The fans would have got it anyways.
And there's one other point there, right? You know, in our previous one on the Apple, the one about racism, where everyone's parents everyone's all stick together as groups. You know, it's always Pegasi with Pegasi, unicorns with unicorns, Earth with Earth.
And now we've only got rainbow colored.
Yeah, we've got one less.
Only with rainbow colored unicorns.
So now that should be have arranged.
Yeah, somebody in the comments. If only someone made a video about pony mating habits. Yeah, that would be me.
Oh dear. Wow.
Dun, dun, dun.
But yeah, now we've got even less chance of any characters having non-homogeneous,
that was actually
parents.
The second I wanted to talk about. I am a big fan of the fanfiction. I can't say the name of the author because it's too complicated, so I'm just saying the
What's
name
the
of the
fanfiction's name?
Yeah, the fanfiction's name is either. It's the time and life of a winning pony. And in there, Rainbow is actually a side character, and at a few points it's just mentioned that she has two mothers. And I always thought the idea was, hey, why not? It's also, there is a Maya pregnancy possible in this version of...
Parthenogenesis.
What?
Yeah, but in a magical way. So it's magic which makes it possible. So it is kind of acceptable in the MLP universe.
So basically they made like Asari.
Yes. That's it. They are...
I hope everyone's played Mass Effect, because that's what that's a reference to.
Yeah, but they are basically Asari. The ponies are Asari in this version. And they screwed it over by giving her a father, god damn it. I believe it's the uncle. He's only the uncle.
He could just be someone she's standing on, and we're reading way too much into this.
Just another
because a lot of
rainbow-colored
people,
pony.
you guys are aware that there was a character who I thought was the mother, right? Also there.
Yeah.
Did you see this?
To the left
Yeah,
of it,
I
yeah.
And some people have argued that apparently she's been a background pony for a long time, like since the first episode.
So her mother was there
if
all
she
along.
So yeah, I was like,
Oh dear.
well, the way they reuse assets in this show, I mean, it's like if we're gonna take that seriously, we have to take seriously that there's 4 fucking Lyras at all times. So
Yeah, apparently.
but at the same time, it's like, yeah, maybe it's not her mom. I don't know.
It's
but
a bit
the
weird
fact that
though.
she's almost the same exact color as the dad. You know,
Well,
has
with
the red eyes.
With the dad, they have made this unique character, so it's much more obvious that, you know, this one we've never seen before, so it's probably of some importance to one of our main characters. When you've got a background character, it's a bit weird if suddenly you make them one of the parents, because that brings up lots of awkward questions. I'm sure they would realise if they tried to do that. And it's a lot less obvious or implied that it's the mother if it's someone we've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the one that Rainbow Dash was standing on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the moment, all we got is info.
I'd love to hear from someone on the show about this. I'm sure they would respond because
They probably would, knowing how us bronies will thoroughly analyze the hell out of everything.
Yeah, they.
Dead parent.
Aw.
Yeah, people thought it was the mom to start bugging the writers, but maybe.
Something is wrong
Lagging.
with your sound, Digi?
Is everyone else all right?
You're lagging a bit.
Is he being downloaded?
Nyeh, nyeh, nyeh.
He's going through. No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
He's going through
Can you
dial-up.
hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, we can.
Yeah, there was
Breaking
a little
up.
bit of a lag. Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to. Like,
Then I can give a question that has been a while ago in the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
What would you do to improve Polski's writing?
Get an overseer.
I would completely
With a
scrap the
newspaper?
fucking episode.
Well, that's nice.
The thing is with this episode, the problem is that it's sold so heavily what's going to happen next. You either don't sell what's going to happen so heavily next, or you change the focus to be not on the story, but on a character, on the setting, or on world building, something else. This episode, though, was focused on the story, and it told you what was going to happen next. That there's no way to get engaged in this other than maybe the humor.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Scans
There's actually
idea. Just get a new writer.
I would agree.
in response to my post/video on it, there's a comment on my blog where this guy had his idea of what would make the episode better. I would try and explain his points, but the way he writes is really dense and kind of hard for me to
Cut to the chase, yeah.
transform what he's saying. So you could just, if anybody wants to hear an opinion of how it could be.
And there
you're
goes the
breaking up
sound
again.
again.
Yeah.
And he died.
But he's still
I mean,
moving
this
at
is what I
least.
do in every one of my reviews. I say, what could we have done in retrospect? And some of the things I thought was that if we are going to have the Crystal Empire appear more in the series, we really should actually add some characters to the Crystal Empire and do some world building. Make us actually have a reason to care about this place. Because at the moment, it feels really bland.
I would say, yeah, exactly. I would go along with that. I also probably would, let's see.
What have we got? I mean, I was a bit disappointed. We only have one Crystal character, the Crystal Librarian. And we didn't see her. She didn't say she remembered she had a library. That's so
I would say create a character from there that would sort of be, that would have like this sort of like following or impact as like Babseed or something. Like,
yeah.
like everybody's like, oh my god, I like that character. That character should show up more. Oh, we should go back to the Crystal Empire so we can see just that character or something like that.
Don't want to make them too Mary Sue. We already got 2 of those walking around in the Crystal Empire.
That's true.
Well, that was the other thing I said in my retrospective, that Cadence and Shamiyama the more we see of them, the more they resemble cardboard cutouts rather than characters. They're not being fleshed out.
Guys, there is actually a Crystal Empire character who is unique and remember.
I already mentioned the librarian.
No, another
Besides
one.
Cadence.
No.
Besides
you're
Cadence.
totally wrong.
Besides Shining Armor.
You have to check the, guys, you have to check the chat once in a while. There is a small children, the small filly rainbow lifts twice. First she scares it and
But
then
that's
she
a
lifts
generic filly.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
It's making up for the complete lack of fillies of the first time.
No, that's a
There
character.
were crystal
I'm sure.
fillies? Okay, how about some... Okay, we already have pony mating habits. How about crystal pony mating habits?
They are simple. They are normal ponies who get affected by
Are we
by
assuming
being.
Are you
that
sure?
it's actually a young crystal
I am.
pony?
Hmm?
Could crystal ponies grow or shrink with the amount of crystal?
Oh god, could crystal ponies reproduce asexual... Why am I getting into this?
Who? Yeah, I mean,
what's
all I'm
wrong with
saying is
me?
like,
Guys, I
how do
only
you
made
know
this
they're young
podcast PG
crystal ponies?
rated, so keep it down, yes, will you?
Alright.
Keep the PG talk.
I hope there's not too much echo.
No, I don't think there is.
Do I have to switch to headphones now?
No, we're good.
Not if you don't hear the echo right now.
There's a little bit
No,
of an echo.
mini echo.
Chat, how much echo is at your end? Now we have to wait for about 4 seconds until they're able to respond.
Check the green bar at the bottom whenever we
Okay.
speak, looking at Digi's thing. You can see there's a little bit being produced, so there is a bit of an echo.
Yeah. I'm hearing it
What is it?
as well, but apparently the chat says
It's a little bit
fine.
annoying.
No, it's fine.
Cool.
Hmm. So, yeah, we don't even actually know that much about the crystal ponies themselves. So I said, we call them fillies, but they could just be small crystal ponies.
Right.
We're getting way into headcanon territory here with the crystal ponies, aren't we?
We're going into assuming territory.
Yeah, so why don't we
Yeah.
like get back to just like get into the main point of this, like whole wrapping this up, because we've been here for like quite a while.
Have we? Yeah.
It's not over
Half
to
an hour.
this.
Oh,
These
yeah.
podcasts are meant to last an hour at least, right?
They usually do.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we
It's
have
just-
to stretch it a bit.
But yeah, it's just that we're now going to return to the Crystal Empire for the Crystal Games. And I still don't have any reason to care for this place. It's just a big, huge gimmick land with a horrible, horrible empathy field.
I don't think any of us really disagree.
And Cadence and Shining Armor are basically summed up by Twiley and Sunshine.
Wiley! I wish I could do his voice, because I love his voice.
At least his voice wasn't as annoying as it was now, or something. Like, this one's more tolerable.
It's just, I mean, if we actually analyze and sit down, like, what do you guys think of the cheerleading? I have forgotten about it.
It wasn't too bad.
It was a really well animated segment.
I kind of was bleh about it.
I mean, I don't really feel one way or the other about it. It's just something that was there and it looked nice.
One thing that confused me about the setup, at least, was they said, we're going to an event. And normally when you say you go to an event, right, it's like you're going to a concert or a con or something else. You're going to something that's been organized. But no, they were going to run an introduction to an inspector.
Kind of misleading, yeah.
And all the crystal ponies are super preparing, but when you're showing a city off, you don't, brush down every building just showing it off to that one inspector.
They aren't
if you
gonna...
take-
No, I'm sorry to interrupt. They aren't gonna care about how good you look, and they're not gonna care about how oh look, the city is so beautiful. Everything is great, but you people are stupid. Why should I come here again? Exactly. It's like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you take the obvious parallel they're taking it from is the Olympic Games. Inspectors go to various cities and judge them against each other and then come back and decide. They don't decide on the day in the city under an empathy field. And the other thing to notice is, they decide on potential. The Olympic Games is that they can go out and build a stadium, generally speaking. That it can spurn some development in the city. They are planning, 10 years or so in advance. But the Crystal Empire is like preparing now. Why do you need to prepare now? It's going to be something, several months down the line.
Yeah, I think it's the usual thing of simplifying circumstances for the sake of making it kid-friendly.
I think it was to show that the Crystal Ponies were eager by their actions, but we don't actually see much of the Crystal Ponies.
Yeah. That's a general problem with the Crystal Empire, is that we go there and we're supposed to care about what happens to them, but we don't know anything about them.
There's no depth or passion behind the stories they're telling about the Crystal Empire. It's just a setting that's really odd. Or different, sorry. What did you guys think of the crystal headdress? Or the whole hair software?
It took very away for the entire fucking episode. That's how I feel about it. 13 episodes, 2 Spike episodes,
And
no Rarity episode.
And
all we get is a crystal headdress. Hippity fuck.
Hey-o!
Yeah.
Pissing off my neighbors.
I mean, it's quite literally, I want to sum it up like this. It's quite literally digging through shit and finding a diamond, and I'm like, that's not what I wanted. And then just throwing it away and then pouting because you didn't find anything you wanted.
I don't get the analogy.
I can't. It's basically like this. Oh, you're digging through all this. Oh, I can't find exactly what I'm looking for. Oh, but I found this. Everybody says this is good. No, it isn't. Then you throw it away. Then you're still looking through. You come to the end. Well, I found nothing. This series sucks.
This whole series, but this episode has lots of bits.
Well, the season.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about the season has lots of random higgledy-piggledy episodes, and a lot of the episodes have lots of higgledy-piggledy bits. Yeah.
It sounds so cool, higgledy-piggledy.
I guess it's a British thing.
It's a very uniquely British thing, is what I imagine. British thing.
Yeah, but there's lots of higgledy-piggledy bits and pieces all over the place.
Timey-wimey wobbly.
Yeah, there's all these random things that they're trying to distract us with, but there's no central plot or no central engagement. There's no, engagement for me in this episode.
There's no really consistency.
Yeah, the whole hairdress thing, from the very get-go, I was like, I just didn't really get it. I didn't get it. I was like, this is stupid. That there's this ridiculous list, and they say, oh, there's only 15 minutes. Well, to read that list, it would take you probably 15 minutes.
Probably.
And the only reason you're doing it is because it's tradition. Well, screw tradition in this context.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the whole subplot just existed to take Cadence out of the picture so that she wouldn't be able to possibly figure out that they had the wrong pony or anything like that, And it consequentially took Rarity out of the picture too, so she didn't get to do shit once again.
Well, she did more than Applejack.
That's true.
Surprisingly.
What the hell did Applejack do?
Applejack did, quite literally nothing in this.
Interesting thought on...
I mean, there's always tag-alongs whenever they use the main 6. There's always going to be someone who just is there, because you can't use all 6 characters in 22 minutes in a meaningful way unless you're, striving to do exactly that. But this episode is trying to introduce new characters and run this whole concept.
This expected.
Interesting thought from the chat. Is the whole 3rd season only filler?
No, the season's sort of... hang on, what is this?
Doesn't make sense for it to be filler by the definition of what filler is. No, but I mean,
yeah.
Personally, I don't think season 3 is any worse than the other seasons, except in that it is in fact 13 episodes. Because personally, I think if I take the first 13 or the last 13 episodes of season 1 and I compare it to season 3, there are just as many episodes that I enjoyed in season 3 as there were in any 13 episode stretch of season 1. So to me, it's about the same level of quality. It might be a little less good, but to me, it's about the same. Byter, if you're someone like Byter, is going to think that the whole... Because you didn't like any episode this season, right?
I liked probably 2-ish.
Which ones?
Those were One Bad Apple and Magic Jewel.
So you actually did like one... Did you like One Bad Apple like you liked it, or you liked it like
he saw potential?
Well, this is, of course, going into Byter opinion land, so we have to examine how I formulate my opinions, I'm afraid. But for example, One Bad Apple. Oh, AMY's gone. He's heard this one long before. But for One Bad Apple, for example, I'd say, for until the float scene, it was basically the CMC being bullied. Good guys versus bad guys. Yeah, very simple protagonists, antagonists. And for the most part, I enjoyed that. It was very much like previous seasons. That I actually found that was one of the more empathizable CMC episodes up until that point. And I really liked the song. I think the song at least sold me the bullying and the acting of the characters.
Plus, it was ripped out straight from like a Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah, but at least
awesome.
When I sat down and watched it, I was entertained. Then when it tries to do the twist, I get a bit confused. Like, wait, why are we trying to save her? And then she joins them, and it tries to mix meanings and do stuff there. Yeah. So it's a bit flawed towards the end, where it tries to add in its depth. But I think for the majority of its length, enjoyed the good guys versus bad guys, and I'm kind of bleh about the whole, trying to save Babseed and the change of heart and all the irony and everything. That kind of fell flat, but at least it was sort of trying to redeem an antagonist, and it was an interesting episode to watch the CMC. It's an average episode for what would be in the previous seasons.
Mm-hmm.
For me, honestly, for Season 3, there were a lot of ups and downs that I noticed. I can only say that I think probably the 3 episodes, actually, no, I take that back, 2 episodes that stood out to me were Sleepless in Ponyville and Magic Duel.
You like Sleepless in Ponyville, you say?
Yeah, actually.
Interesting.
Don't even get him started.
I thought it was cute. I liked the development.
I love the
You're not alone, critic.
Finally confirmed, it made the whole Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo thing canon finally. So
it made it canon, but it didn't do a arc as anything like that. It was all about Scootaloo, and it was all about her being scared, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm sure now that they've created this, they're gonna go back to it eventually. We'll see Scootaloo with Rainbow Dash more often, that sort of thing.
Just because you made it canon doesn't mean it's really that cool to me. What I'm really interested in is seeing characters interacting and then seeing how they develop. But that episode doesn't have much character interaction between
them. What I love about Sleepless in Ponyville, as I talked about in my video, is that to me, I totally didn't buy into the idea that Rainbow Dash will make a good sister. And if I do buy into it, I only buy into it in a sense of what would this say about Rainbow Dash changing if she did turn out to be a good sister. But for me, the most exciting thing about the episode was more thinking, wow, Rainbow Dash has accepted her. Now Scootaloo has to live with the eventual disappointment that will be Rainbow Dash as a sister.
Yeah, but the only reason you guys are liking it is that final end premise, which just comes around at the end. Up until that point,
the whole episode leads up to that for me, where it's all about, because the whole episode shows you that Rainbow Dash doesn't notice these things about Scootaloo. She never notices throughout the episode what Scootaloo's going through. And to me, that solidifies that Rainbow Dash is not a good figure for this. We have this parallel with Applejack and Rarity, where Applejack noticed, not only does Applejack, keep track of her own sister, she's the one who notices that Scootaloo is going through something, not Rainbow Dash. Applejack is good sister material, so she really shows us the contrast in what Rainbow Dash isn't picking up, and why she might not be a good sister for Scootaloo. So for her to then take her under her wing at the end of the episode, it makes you think, wow, they've got a lot to go through, because when I wrote my initial review of this, I got a lot of comments where people were saying, I think Rainbow Dash can be a good sister, you're being too hard on her.
She could be.
And she could, but it would have to involve, that's what makes it interesting to me, is that it would have to involve her becoming a good sister, because she's not one already,
Then why did the episode
fully evidenced it to me.
Then why didn't the episode focus on that more?
Because I think what they're going to do, they're going to make another episode between the two of them, probably somewhere in the future, maybe even Season 4. They're going to probably have an episode with just Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo that helps, at least develop the relationship between them. Not make it,
because at the moment,
but at least develop it.
The episode was mostly about Scootaloo's conflict. And that was basically, Scary Things Are Scared, and she idolizes Rainbow Dash, so to try and act cool, she hides being scared. And what they do with that is really hit hard with that over and over and over again and spread that over 13 minutes. We don't spend time interacting with her friends with Rainbow Dash. There's not much her talking about her relationships with her friends or interacting with them. It's a lot of internal monologuing of Scootaloo saying, I'm conflicted.
Yeah. But
it's a rocky start, but I'm sure it's going to go somewhere. That's why I like the episode, because I thought it would be an interesting start.
I like that he does get wrapped up in herself, because to me that sells just what she was so, why she needed someone is because a lot of the times people get wrapped up in themselves and they're too worried about what all she's worried about is what's Rainbow Dash think, the whole time. She's not worried about what her friends think of this situation. She's worried about what does Rainbow Dash think and what can I do to make myself seem cool to her or make myself not seem lame to her,
Does that make Scootaloo okay, I'm looking for the word here. I don't know if it's poser or tool. I don't know.
Tool.
Yeah, it's inauthentic is the word you're looking for. She was trying to be inauthentic throughout the episode. She was trying to put on a cool face. And inauthenticity is something that Rainbow Dash always, or not always, but usually has to deal with herself. That's one of her big character arcs is inauthenticity, where in Read It and Weep, she was completely trying to be inauthentic about liking these books, and now she's moved into a position where she reads them out in the open shamelessly. Originally with Tank, she desperately wants him to be cool, as we saw in Just for Sidekick, but he's just not cool. So she's just trying to deal with it and be like, you know what, I love him, I'm not going to, because, she does care about him.
I'm not sure it implied that she wanted him to be cool.
She has a reputation to keep up, basically.
Yeah, she had a reputation, but I don't think she tried to
Well, that's why she wants him to be cool, because it'll make her, it'll make her look cool.
She shows affection to him and then, suddenly, acts cool. So
yeah, exactly. She looks around, gives Tank the little nose rub, and then goes right back to being cool.
Yeah, she like I said, she wants to keep up the cool appearance.
It doesn't mean him to be cool. It's her to be cool.
Basically, what we can say is
she did put sunglasses on him and then rub his nose.
Yeah. Basically, what we can say is to get back to the main point. Rainbow Dash did get some development in this, and then we just jumped off to other stuff, and then yeah.
Oh, for this actual
we're trying to
I thought we were talking about Sleepless.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say.
Well, I was just saying about that, but we could get right back to what we were talking about now, because I think we veered way off course into uncharted territory.
Who cares about this episode?
Well, not uncharted.
Exactly. There's supposed to talk about this episode anyway, so.
Yeah, I was just going to say though that central arc or plot point is very static in Sleepless and Ponyville. That. Scootaloo's conflicted, but then they don't do anything with it. It's just, they keep showing us she's conflicted. So I wasn't really that engaged by the episode's conflict, because it was from the first moment she wakes up from the, she doesn't wake up from the first night. It's kind of I got it. I got what was wrong with her. I was like, she has a problem. How is she going to deal with it? And then, she goes on a wild scooter ride. It's yes, I get it. She's got a problem. And it's then they have the campfire.
I guess I enjoyed it because I really enjoyed sleep deprivation and watching people go through that and just watching them slowly slide into depravity, or quickly slide into depravity in this case.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean... I'm gonna basically watching Scootaloo suffer, and that's pretty much exactly it. I enjoy watching Scootaloo suffer, so that's what I have to say.
I'm not such an appreciator of kind of mean humor like that, because particularly in this circumstance, it's kind of tragic that Scootaloo is, so conflicted and suffering so much. At least, with the AJ episode when she is going sleepless. That was a consequence of her stubbornness. That's a consequence of her being...
But I don't know, I like it sometimes when people... Because in the real world, sometimes we are just suffering for no fault of our own.
But then we shouldn't really laugh at it.
I laugh at everything, so,
Yeah. It's just, for me, if the story, at the very end, it wants me to empathize with Scootaloo, or at least the story is built around Scootaloo, it wants me to empathize with her story. If I'm empathizing with a character, I shouldn't be laughing at them while they are suffering from sleep deprivation because of, deep, people helping them problems.
Yeah.
I just, the humor in the wild scooter scene, I find it a bit tasteless, or at least I didn't find it funny. And then it's like, okay, boring scooter scene that told me what I already know.
I guess,
get on with it.
I guess I, as a German guy, have to say it now. Schadenfreude. One word describing it all. Schadenfreude.
But with Schadenfreude, it's generally
We all know that song?
What?
No.
We all see the Avenue Q?
Yeah, that's where...
Yeah.
But the thing is with Schadenfreude is it's appealing to a certain
completely
sense of
ignoring
humor.
it.
So
Sucks to be
ready
you.
to break that microphone
Sucks
out
to be
this whole time.
you. Sucks to be you. Sorry.
is that sucks to be me? Well, because you make noise. Anyway,
No, it's.
I would argue
also
that
from the same
Schadenfreude
musical.
is. We have had that kind of stuff, Lauren Hardy or even Feeling Pinky Keen, that we laugh at the damage done to others. But in those circumstances, generally, it's more humorous when the damage done to them, the pain they suffer, has no consequence. Think of Looney Tunes. They get smashed up and flattened against walls, but they're fine again the next few moments. And there's also another thing with who you do Schadenfreude against. It's much more funnier to do it against a well-off rich guy than a pauper. It's much better to do
Funnier
it
to
off.
do it against Spike and Just for Sidekicks, where he's kind of an asshole and deserves it, than Scootaloo, who's just kind of desperate in the woods.
Yeah.
But I still laughed at Scootaloo in the woods, so maybe I'm a
Same
terrible person.
here. Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to accept that if that's what it means that I like the episode, that I found it funny that she was sleep-deprived and desperate, and I was like, haha, that reminds me of my life, then it's like, maybe I'm just a bad person.
Yeah, same here. That's the thing.
It's the difficulty. I mean, what we started this off with was like why I say when people say it's a good episode, because I felt it was a one-note episode with a nice premise.
Yeah.
And it had a nice premise, and it showed
It
Luna
depends
to
on
us.
how much you like the sound of that one note. I mean, I listen to Drummy, so...
Yeah, it's just, it showed us she was conflicted, but it didn't want to take it too dark, so instead it tried to use humor. So and the humor it used was to laugh at her. And there was great opportunity in that episode for expanding Scootaloo's character and expanding her relationships with her friends and some of the others of the main six, or if you wanted to, focus on Rainbow Dash and her.
Yeah.
But instead, it's the majority of that episode is focused on her. The majority of the episode is from her perspective. And as a consequence, it's a lot of monologuing, a lot of dialogue, a lot of the same.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's a good episode. It's just it's a nice episode, if you get what I mean?
Do I want to open the can of worms of why you don't like Wonderbolt Academy?
No,
boy.
no, we are 5 minutes
Well, we
before
need
ending.
like a 5 hour.
Not today.
Let's not go into like overdrive,
No.
because I'm pretty sure we're gonna be here
You
for a
really
while.
hate that episode, right?
We
I
keep
don't
this
really like
episode...
that.
We can come back to this episode at one point when we have another podcast who is not long enough. But no, not today. We are good in time, and but when
Well, should we
are
actually come back to this episode?
we will.
We should.
We will
We'll start the
sooner or later.
We'll start the next stream like. So why don't you like Wonderbolt's Academy? You'll spend like an hour on that. Wait, were we supposed
Yes.
to talk about like? Are we supposed to talk about Magical Mystery Cure?
Oh, this right.
I'm sure we'll have plenty to say about Magical Mystery Cure.
Probably.
I am absolutely sure we'll have plenty to say about that.
Count me in on that. I wanna be there for that.
spoilers.
I've already done the
At this
semiotic
point.
analysis on it, and I'm interested to see how it works with it.
Anyways, when we are at the point when we want to start other cans of worms, I believe there's another topic worth mentioning. DG, you kind of appeared guest moderating a certain video on YouTube. Want to tell us something about this?
Wait, what did you say?
The top.
Are you addressing me? Because I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, that's very good. No, yes, I was
I was paying
addressing
attention,
you.
but I'm confused.
No problem. I was addressing you about the video for what's his name? The guy with the top 10 best episodes.
Red Cord Ponies.
Red Cord,
yes.
Red Cord, right?
Yeah, Red Cord Pony is doing a top 10 episodes of season 3, where you go to the video, you write the name of the episode that was your favorite, and that vote, and then like I think extended to 2 weeks after season 3 is over, then he'll tally up all the votes, and then pick the top 10 episodes, and then like Brony video makers such as myself will do like a segment of like basically when the top 10 video comes out, it'll be number 10, and then someone talks about that episode. So the idea is that each of us Brony video makers will talk about our favorite and why we voted for it, and then the top 10 list will be from that. So I'll be doing Too Many Pinkie Pies, which is my favorite episode of season 3, and then there's a bunch of other people who have chosen. I think he's still looking for more people. So,
but mine are already taken.
Well, anybody needs anybody, I'm down for it.
Mine are already
I'll
taken.
talk to him.
I don't want to talk about Apple Family Reunion. But anyway.
Is that your favorite?
Yeah, you'll be saddled with an episode, won't you?
Somebody already got Apple Family Reunion actually, so you will not have to settle for that.
No, but there were Wonderbolt Academy as well as Sleepless in Ponyville were both already taken by 2 guys, so damn it, was too late.
The only ones that weren't taken were like the Crystal Empire, One Bad Apple, and obviously the last 2 episodes have not, or maybe Spike It Yourself. I don't remember.
How does Crystal Empire count as 1 or 2?
You know what? I'll try to go for the Crystal Empire.
I don't think that's your favorite A and Y.
Let's say it is my least favorite 2-part episode, but as an episode itself, it was okay. So no, it is not my favorite as well, but well, I'm a good actor. I can pull something off.
I don't know. We could try and get Brony debates to do that one.
So, but I guess
So can we go to this wrapping up this episode?
Yeah, exactly. So about this just mentioned video, I'll put the link in the description on the re-uploaded version of this podcast on my channel on YouTube. And I believe we said everything. Has somebody a nice last statement about the episode we were actually talking about, Games Ponies Play?
I will do it, I guess, then. I don't think the others have much to say about this episode. But this episode, I'm not sure what direction Dave had a clear idea of how he was trying to engage his audience, because he's writing mostly a story, but then he obviously shows what's going to happen. Yeah. And I think there wasn't enough care and effort put into individual scenes, because they felt kind of wooden.
There just wasn't enough thought put into any of it. There are probably ways that this episode could have worked, but the episode manages to be so far away from those ways that it's hard for me to even think that, like, because I've seen people make a case where it's like maybe it was supposed to be a manners thing, because in the title of the episode, Games Ponies Play, is a reference to psychological manual of sorts, games people play.
Mm-hmm.
And the episode could have reflected that book, but it's so far from quite doing so that it's hard to think they really went for that. It's hard to think they had an idea. It's easier to just say, he fucking just wrote some shit, and
you wrote some shit
and
wrote random things on it, which basically encapsulated my thoughts on many of the episodes of Season 3.
But, I guess what I can say is, other than the little flaws and other than like the little tiny things, I don't know, it's just this episode didn't really do a lot for me. I don't really have to say that this is like a great episode. Like, if I were to rate it, I'd probably give it like maybe a 7 out of 10, and that's me being generous. So, this episode wasn't perfect, but it wasn't it wasn't terrible, at least. It wasn't like, oh my god, I hate this episode. It just sort of floated, I think. It just didn't know where to go, whether it was good or bad. So it's another one of those episodes where I'm kind of indifferent on it.
Well, I don't think I would give it, I mean, if you're giving it like a traditional score, isn't it completely failing to engage your audience in any way? A bad episode. It's not traditionally bad and poorly executed, but it's badly executed in terms of story.
Yeah, that's the thing we talked about earlier at some point.
It's not even
Byter.
just the small...
It's what you take in account for your rating system. So, but yeah, it wouldn't be really a high score in my case as well, because for all the bad things I mentioned in the beginning,
you enjoyed it.
No, the thing is, it is not a good episode, and I enjoyed it, but because it was so simple. So it was just a very simple enjoyment and not really what we, or at least I, got engaged in the series in the first place. It was a funny episode in between, but not really a grand jewel I would rewatch every now and then. Probably sometimes, but when I'm doing something else like playing computer games and having something...
I wanted to pick up on something ToonKritic said, that it's not just the little flaws, but I don't think it's little flaws in this circumstance. I think it's the whole thing doesn't form a cohesive work.
Yeah.
It's got major flaws.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually argue that the inverse is probably true. That there were some good moments with Twilight, and there was some, an interesting concept that could have been worked better with Rainbow Dash.
Mm-hmm.
And there's sometimes, I guess, you could see some good animation here that, here and there that,
Although oddly, and I know we're over the hour minute, but whatever. I just want to bring this up real quick. Oddly enough, this episode was one of the weakest in terms of animation in season 3. There was a lot of really awkward-looking moments in this episode. So the cheer is a great moment of animation, but it stands out really strong in this episode because it's so much better than everything else in the episode. Where there's like a part where they get off the train, there's this incredibly strange camera angle they chose where, it makes it so the way that Twilight's moving looks wrong. It's got a lot of those weird motions. Which season had a number of where the ponies will do this, like that doesn't look natural, and there's a lot of that in this episode. In terms of animation, I think it's probably the outright weakest of season 3.
Well, it's not.
That was.
It's not animation; it's screenplay, and it's what your characters are doing on screen and where you place the camera. A lot of times, it felt quite awkward, like when Twilight walks into the boutique place to talk to Rarity about the main. Yeah. And she walks in, the doors open, and they start talking, and it's implied that Cadence is right behind Rarity, and she's just blocking her. But the thing is, when you walk into a room and you open the doors, you walk in, you can see the whole room.
Yeah.
And when you walk up to a person, yes, that covers your view, but she's already seen Cadence, and the camera angles just. Yeah, the camera angles...
How about that list? Who else thought that list looked really strange?
It did,
because
honestly.
the way it hangs out of the screen, and it's way the hell to the left. Like, the shot composition of the shot where the scroll is just hanging down, and it's, like, way to the left of the screen, everyone else is to the right. It just looked so awkward. Even the thickness of the list, I couldn't really get a handle on how thick it was supposed to be, because it looked different in each shot. It was just weird.
It was kind of weird.
Way below the level of quality I expect, not just from the show, but especially from season 3, where it had episodes like Too Many Pinkie Pies and Wonderbolts Academy were 2 of the best animation episodes I've ever seen, so...
Yeah, I mean, like, if you take the Crystal Empire, that was always just big, plain, open rooms. They're standing in a group, the inspectors the false inspectors standing elsewhere, and... That's it. They just move camera from here to there, and sometimes focus on one person as they speak. It's really bland, and the same with the spa. They sort of all form a block, and then Pinkie Pie jumps in, and it takes a really kind of awkward top down while she does that stupid slapstick. And then,
all of that is in like that room is always feels like it's shown from like only half the room is there. You know what I mean? Like the camera is on a track on one side of the room, and the other side of the room exists, and the back half doesn't exist. I always had this sensation that the room was a lot bigger than it looked or something. Yeah, it's weird. There's a lot of awkward stuff in there.
Like
and again, it's not characteristic of this show.
I think a thought could be that it's a difficulty with the Crystal Empire that they make big, huge, wide open vistas to try and impress us, but then they're stuck with nothing to do in those open vistas.
Yeah, it's possible.
So it's more like big empty sets.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can actually
Yeah.
see that you have a way too big of a set,
Yeah.
and you have just like a handful of characters, and not even like CGI could help you.
But
Just
they did it fine in the premiere.
Yeah.
There, you know, when the one time I'm trying to think, the only times that they really go indoors in the premiere, she goes into the throne room, right? And what kind of shot do we get? We get like in a way above shot, this aerial view that shows you the whole room. You have a
And
sense
that's
of
like a walking through the place
perspective, how
scene.
big the room is.
And the
There are no aerial shots like this in this episode.
Mm.
They walk into the spa and the camera's always on the ground level. There's none of this above shot that would help
No
to
depth,
establish
basically.
the height and breadth of this room. You know?
Well, the cinematography of the prologue was often, very close up. We looked very close up to the Crystal Fair. We never really got much of a grand view of it, and whenever they're on the balcony, we're always just focused on the characters. But in this, but when they're doing that grand over top thing, that was when she was like just walking through, so it's showing the castle. That's just this is the area she's in shot.
Yeah.
It's kind of you can't have this is the area in shot for all the thing, but this time you were stuck in lots of big huge rooms.
Yeah.
With nothing of interest, like the weird staircase or the throne to draw your interest.
Yeah.
Actually, I like what somebody put here. Hence the joke with Pinky making fun of the big round room. Genius breaking the fourth wall.
Maybe so. I'm not sure if Dave Polsky is.
I'm not sure that was meant to be breaking the fourth wall so much as just Pinky addressing the fact that the room was in fact round and having nothing else to say about it. I mean, that was completely in-universe fact that the room was round, so...
It might be just unintentional irony.
But hey, unintentional irony. That's a nice last statement for today. This episode, unintentional irony. Anyways, it was great talking to you. I'll put the links for Critics and Digi's YouTube channels, as well as Byter's DeviantArts channel, where you can find his written reviews, in the description for this video on YouTube. And yeah, thanks for the chat, for being along, and I guess
Happy to be here.
see you next week.